The neon lights of the city twinkled like fallen stars as the sun set over the towering buildings. The air buzzed with energy, laughter, and the distant sirens. It was a scene straight out of a storybook, or perhaps a nightmare, depending on who you ask. Our story tonight begins with a boy who defied the rules of growing up. Yes, I'm talking about Peter Pan, the eternal child who lived in the magical land of Neverland. But tonight, Neverland was feeling a little too familiar. Wendy had gone home. The Lost Boys were off playing pirates, and Tinker Bell was having a girls' night with the fairies. So Peter found himself with absolutely nothing to do. He sat on the edge of the enchanted lagoon, kicking listlessly at the water. I wish something exciting would happen, he sighed dramatically. Just then, an idea struck him like a bolt from the blue. Why not visit the place his friend Captain Hook always ranted about? The big smoke, the concrete jungle, the city. Peter had only heard stories about it, but he'd never been. And honestly, it sounded pretty cool. With a mischievous grin, he took off into the star-filled night sky, determined to see what all the fuss was about. And so that's how Peter Pan, the boy who never grew up, found himself hurtling towards the heart of Manhattan. He soared above the towering skyscrapers, marveling at the twinkling lights that stretched as far as his eyes could see. The honking of taxis and the chatter of people below were like a strange, discordant symphony to his ears. As he descended to street level, Peter realized that landing in the middle of Times Square might have not been the best idea. Surrounded by towering billboards and the roar of traffic, he felt a pang of confusion. Skyscrapers scraped the sky. Buses rumbled like angry middle beasts, and yellow cabs darted through the crowds like agitated hornets. People hurried by, their faces illuminated by the glow of their phones. Everyone seemed to be in a rush, except Peter, who stood blinking in the sudden onslaught of stimuli. But instead of being deterred, Peter decided to embrace the chaos. He tilted his head back and laughed, a sound that echoed through the canyons of buildings. To him, this urban jungle was a new Neverland, filled with exciting sights, sounds, and most importantly, possibilities. With the curiosity of a child and the sense of adventure of a seasoned explorer, Peter began his urban safari. His first stop, a large glass building with the words Museum of Modern Art written in bold letters above the entrance. It looked like a giant picture frame to Peter, and he couldn't resist the urge to explore. Inside, he marveled at the abstract paintings, trying to decipher hidden messages in pictures within the splashes of color. He tiptoed around the exhibits, pretending to be a sneaky pirate searching for buried treasure. To Peter, the museum was a treasure trove of imagination, each painting a portal to a different world. As he wandered through the galleries, Peter couldn't help but add his own creative touch to the artwork. With a wave of his magic wand, he transformed a still landscape into a babbling brook complete with leaping fish and singing birds. He turned a somber portrait into a mischievous grin, and a simple geometric shape became a friendly monster with googly eyes. His antics went unnoticed by the museum goers too engrossed in intellectual discussions about art appreciation and symbolism to notice the playful havoc wreaked by an invisible boy. Peter, meanwhile, reveled in his mischief, enjoying the power to change how others saw the world, however briefly. After a while, his attention was drawn to a group of people gathered around a glass case displaying a small, unassuming object. Peter flew closer to investigate and gasped in mock horror. "Good heavens, a shrunken head!" he exclaimed, his voice dripping with mock seriousness. "We must warn the others before it grows back and takes its revenge." Of course, there was no shrunken head, just a cleverly placed prop that had fooled even the imaginative Peter Pan. As he continued his tour of the museum, Peter stumbled upon a room with floor-to-ceiling mirrors. Intrigued, he walked inside and gasped in surprise. Dozens of Peters stared back at him, each one identical to the next. "So that's what I look like," he said with a shrug, before bursting into laughter at the absurdity of the situation. He spent several minutes chasing his mirror image, giggling uncontrollably as they swapped places and disappeared around corners. Eventually, breathless with mirth, he collapsed onto a nearby bench, his sides aching from laughter. As the afternoon wore on, Peter's adventures continued. He raced pigeons in Central Park, pretending they were tropical parrots. He climbed trees, pretending they were the highest branches in Neverland. And he even made friends with a stray cat, whom he christened Captain Fluffington I. With the city as his playground, Peter rediscovered the joys of childhood, finding magic in the most mundane aspects of urban life. As evening approached, Peter found himself standing on the observation deck of the Empire State Building, one of the city's tallest skyscrapers. Below him, the city sprawled like a glittering tapestry, a sea of twinkling lights punctuated by the distant rumble of traffic and the soft glow of street lamps. Peter leaned against the railing, a sense of peace settling over him. For a moment, the chaos of the city faded away and he was just a boy enjoying the simple pleasure of a beautiful sunset. He watched as the sky blazed with hues of orange, pink, and purple, each color more vibrant than the last. Then suddenly, an idea struck him. With a mischievous grin, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of pixie dust. Closing his eyes, he tossed the shimmering powder into the air and whispered, "Fly, little lights, fly." Immediately, the dust exploded into a shower of sparks, momentarily transforming the night sky into a fireworks display. Peter laughed, delighted with his impromptu show, but his joy was short-lived. A loud voice boomed over the loudspeaker, "Attention, trespassers. You are in violation of park regulations. Please leave immediately." Startled, Peter looked around frantically. Where did that come from? Are they onto me? Just then, a man in a ranger uniform appeared beside him. "You need to get out of here, kid. This place closes in 10 minutes, he said, eyeing Peter suspiciously. Peter didn't need to be told twice. With a final wave to the city, he sprinkled some pixie dust on the ground and vanished into the twilight, leaving the bewildered park ranger scratching his head in confusion. Back in Neverland, Peter regaled his friends with tales of his urban adventures. The lost boys hung on every word, their eyes wide with wonder and envy. Wendy, ever the voice of reason, listened patiently and offered words of advice. And Tinker Bell, well, she couldn't help but feel a twinge of jealousy over Peter's exciting escapades. As the story went on, Peter's retelling became more animated, his gestures wilder and his voice louder. Soon, the entire clearing was filled with laughter, gasps, and the rustling of leaves as the inhabitants of Neverland vicariously experienced Peter's adventures through his eyes. In the end, it was an evening filled with warmth, camaraderie, and the magic of storytelling, reminding everyone that sometimes the greatest adventures are those shared with friends. The city lights twinkled like fallen stars as Peter Pan soared above Manhattan once again. But this time, instead of swooping through the skyscrapers, he perched atop one of the buildings, taking in the panoramic view of the city. Below him, the streets teemed with life. Taxis streamed like luminous ants. Pedestrians moved like chess pieces on a giant board, and the distant lights of the Empire State Building twinkled like a celestial beacon. The cacophony of the city, once overwhelming to Peter, now had a certain charm to it. The honking of cars, the rumble of the subway, and the distant sirens were like a lullaby that hummed the city's timeless tune. He watched as families strolled through the park, lovers held hands on benches, and street vendors hawked their wares. Each vignette was a tableau of human interaction, a testament to the countless stories that unfolded within the city's embrace. For a moment, Peter felt a pang of longing, a yearning for the simpler times of his youth when life was all make-believe and reality was whatever he chose it to be. But then he looked down at his hands, still dusted with pixie, and a smile crept onto his face. This new Neverland, with its towering giants and bustling crowds, had its own magic, its own charm. And maybe, just maybe, Peter wasn't so different from the grown-ups after all. Maybe they were all just children at heart, navigating the complexities of life while searching for their own happily ever after. With a contented sigh, Peter spread his arms wide and let the night wind whip through his hair. Despite the city's chaos, there was a certain tranquility to be found in its organized pandemonium. It was a place where dreams were built and destinies were made, where every face told a story and every street echoed with laughter and hope. And as Peter Pan watched the city lights twinkle below him, he knew that this urban jungle, with all its triumphs and tribulations, was the place where magic truly lived. And that's the end of our story for today. We hope you enjoyed coming on this urban adventure with Peter Pan. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button and share this video with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe Hanum Cartoons so you never miss out on any of our future stories. Until next time, keep believing in the magic of childhood and the wonders that await you in the concrete jungle.